You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive content.
Hi everyone and welcome to this episode of All Time 11 right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, delighted to be your host as always. A very special guest this week coming all the way over from Iceland. We've got the 2013 St Mirren Scottish League Cup final winner, Marc McAusland. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. Thanks very much for joining me.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
No worries, how you been, all right?
Good. I've been good. Pretty relaxed over here. Nothing as drastic as you guys have it with the COVID situation. So we're kind of just moving forward as nearly normal as usual.
And have you been playing much? Is the league back to normal there?
Well, the season finished in October, so then it's like the pre-season starts November, but they'd stopped everyone training until just the second week in January. So we've just started again pre-season. We play a kind of pre-season friendly cup. We started that last week straight away, and then we play like the league, the equivalent of the League Cup in Scotland. That starts the middle of February, and that's all indoor. We play that indoor, and then the season will start April time.
Brilliant. Obviously, a good career in Scotland. You started off at St Mirren. What were your kind of memories of your youth days at St Mirren?
Fun, probably one of the fondest memories coming through the youth. Kind of left school. I was 16, 17. I can't really remember the age, but into full time, 2 years at St Mirren at the old Love Street. So it was a good education. We had the good coaches and a good youth set up at St Mirren at the time, and we were training very closely with the first team. So a lot of good players back then, and it was fun. There was a lot of good boys, and I mean, it was hard work at the time. We had a lot of jobs to do and stuff like that with the football, but I think that makes you respect making a step into the first team changing room, and it was good. I can't speak about it highly enough.
Who were the good coaches when you were coming through at St Mirren?
We had a coach called Davy Longwell.
Right,
okay. He left St Mirren around about the same time as me, and he went over to America. Right. He was head of youth at Miami, and New York Red Bulls. He then went to New York Red Bulls, and he's now, I think, the head of youth at Shrewsbury.
Right, okay.
So he done really well for me. I've got big respect for him. And at the time, Stuart Balmer was there. He played for Charlotte and stuff. He was really good for me as well. And then Andy Mirren. Andy Mirren was with Gus McPherson. He was assistant manager. So 3 or 4 guys who were really, really knowledgeable and helped me massively.
Brilliant. You were on the Queen of the South after that. What was your kind of memories for your time there?
Good. It was probably my first proper taste of like men's football, proper football. I'd been playing reserve football since 17, roughly. I had a short spell on loan to Stranraer for a month.
That's right.
But I only played one game, and then came back. And at the time, I got offered a new contract at St Mirren, but I wasn't playing. I was maybe fourth in line, fourth centre back, and I had made the step up to the first team changing room. So I wasn't playing any proper games, and had maybe made 6 or 7 appearances from the bench. So I just decided that I need to start playing. So I was quite lucky that Queen of the South were interested, and I signed there on a 2-year contract, and that was probably my first taste of proper football. I wasn't classed as a kid or a young boy anymore. I was just, although I was only 20, 21, I can't remember, but it was really good. I played 30 some games that season, and it was a bit of a culture change, and I had to adapt quite quickly, and I really enjoyed it. Played with some really good professionals, really good guys, and guys who had been around the leagues for many years, like guys like Stevie Tosh.
Stevie's brilliant.
Aye, he's a good guy. And Neil Scully, Derek Holmes, David Lilly, like these guys who have been around the game for many years. So it was great to learn from these guys.
Brilliant. obviously went back to St Mirren after that, and you had 5 years there, 187 appearances. Danny Lennon was the kind of manager for the main time you were there. What was your kind of memories with him?
Good. I really liked Danny. I got on well with him. Some people, he's a bit eccentric, maybe people would call him, but a bit different. But I got on really well with him, and he helped me in my career. I played a lot of games under him, and I mean, I've not got many bad things to say about him. I really enjoyed working with him and the people he brought in. And we had some good times together. Obviously, winning the cup final, and we done well in the league. I think we finished 8th one year, which was the highest position that St Mirren had finished. So, he was a good guy to work under.
Brilliant. We'll touch on the cup final later on in the show, but we'll make a wee start with your team. Are you going for players you played with or played against?
Played with.
Brilliant.
And guys who have helped me, who I've got big respect for, and thrown in a few younger boys who have been round about my age, who have went on to do quite well.
Brilliant. What's your formation? What formation are you going with?
I'm going with a 4 at the back, but then the midfield is, I've not got like exact players in positions, because there's a few similar players who were centre midfielders, and I could put one of them on the left, I suppose, which we can do that. Fine.
Right, no worries. We'll start off with your goalkeeper. Who you got in nets?
Marion Kello.
Right, okay.
I played with him. I think he came to St Mirren for maybe 6 months or 1 year. I played for him for just a short time, maybe only 25 games or something. I played with him, but you could tell he was real quality, and just a really nice guy as well. I was between 2 keepers, to be honest, because I want to mention Craig Sampson as well.
Yeah.
Because I spent a lot of time with him, and he was a great guy, and he done really well for St Mirren as well, and he was there for a lot of time that I was there.
Yeah.
But I would probably say Marion Kello was the best technical keeper I've played with.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the defence. We'll start off with your right back. Who have you got at right back?
David Van Zanten. And just again, a guy I played many years with, who helped me massively in my career, and he was just a great guy on and off the field. Someone who would be a 7 out of 10 every week, and somebody you can rely on.
Brilliant. See, you were obviously players like David Van Zanten were there a long time. How important were they to the kind of in the dressing room for leadership as well?
I definitely. Vanzi wasn't so much like a leader, but he was more like a player who was always up to something. He was although he was a little bit older, he was always up to something. He was always getting involved with the younger boys and having fun and laughing, and just a really good guy, a really good character to have around the changing room.
Brilliant. We'll move on to left back. Who you got on the other side?
I'm going to go with a boy called Yuri Travner.
Right, okay.
When I first, I was also not sure about that position either. I had 2. So I went with Yuri Travner. He was on loan from Watford, and he came to St Mirren, I think 2011 maybe, the year I came back. He was just a very steady player, good athlete, strong and aggressive going forward. And I also want to mention Jerome Tesla, Dutch boy. I played a few seasons with him, and he was very, very good. He was an athlete as well, very fit, and he was a good 7 out of 10 every week as well. Always, you could always rely on him.
Yeah. See, Travner how did you see? Obviously, he was really, really good when he came into St Mirren. Obviously, that Watford experience would have helped him.
Aye, definitely. I mean, coming from a club like Watford, you know you're getting you're expecting to get somebody of quality.
Yeah.
And he was really good for us. But I think he was Slovenian.
Right. Okay.
And because I checked up on him actually a couple of years ago, about a year ago, just to see if he was still playing. He came to my mind, and he's back playing in Slovenia now.
Is he?
In the top league there, for a club. I'm not sure what club it is.
Brilliant. We'll move on to centre back. Who have you got at left centre back?
I've got Jim Goodwin. Just again, just someone who helped me in my career, and someone who I respect very highly. I speak very highly of and respect a lot. And Jim was a leader, some guy a guy who would help you along the way and give everything. And someone who if you're having a team, you need someone like him in the team.
Mm-hmm. And could you see what he would get into management and do as well as he has at St Mirren?
Aye, definitely. You could see he had a football brain. He knew a lot about football and tactics and how things that he said to me could help me and the players around him. So definitely, and you can see now that it was right. He's doing really well now at St Mirren, and it's really nice to see him back there doing well.
Brilliant. We'll finish up with defence by going with your right centre back. Who partners Jim Goodwin in the other side of defence?
David Lilly, a guy who I played with. I played the majority of the season at Queen of the South with him, and like I said, I was just a young boy coming through. I had relatively no first team experience, and he was a big help for me. Kept me right, kept me in shape, and it kind of showed me where I should be. And he was a big talker, and he was probably coming towards the end of his career, so he had probably had his best years behind him. But for me, it was a big help, definitely.
Brilliant.
But I also played with some other good centre backs at St Mirren, like Dan McGregor, John Potter, Lee Mirren, all good boys and good players.
Mm-hmm.
But they two, Dave Lilly and Jim, they're just the two that are probably the step ahead for me in my personal career.
Definitely. Brilliant. We'll just touch on the League Cup final. Just what are your memories of that day? It was just did you ever think St Mirren would be able to win a trophy in your time when you were there?
No, definitely not. No. I mean, it's always something that you dream of when you're a young boy, and especially me. I grew up as a St Mirren fan from Paisley, and to do it with your hometown club, it's just it's pretty crazy how it happened. But I mean, during the game and on the day, and like, I think we definitely deserved it. There was no shock. There's no one can say that we were lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. And to be honest, the further we got in the competition, right, well, after we beat Aberdeen in the penalties, then we thought, okay, hopefully we can avoid Celtic, but we didn't. We got Celtic.
Mm-hmm.
And no one, and at that point, no one gave us a chance. Everyone thought we're just going to turn up and Celtic are going to run over the top of us. But like, to be honest, there wasn't, like, for me myself, I was like, okay, we're playing Celtic. If we get by Celtic, then we've got a proper chance. But we were going into the game. We were going into the game underdogs. No one really gave us a chance. So there was not much pressure on us.
Mm-hmm.
There was no pressure on us at all. But I mean, of course, there's a bit of pressure because you get to the semi-final at Hampden and you want to give the fans and someone to and the people around the town something to cheer about. But when we managed to beat Celtic, then in the final, there's more pressure. Obviously, more pressure because it's a final. Mm-hmm. But then you're against a club like Hearts, who at that time were not that far away. We were not that far away from them, as in the players we had. Mm-hmm. And I mean, on the day, I think we were a better team, and we definitely deserved to win.
Brilliant. We'll move on to the midfield now. How are you working out the midfield? Is it?
I'm going to play like I'm just going to set it up with a 4.
Right. Okay.
I would probably have Gary Teal on the right hand side.
Okay.
And again, that's because Gary helped me in my career.
Yeah.
And he was a good guy I could speak to, and very, very knowledgeable about football again. And he was coming towards the end of his career, and to pass on like his experience and stuff to players like myself, who was 22, 23, 24 roughly when I was playing with Gary, and that's why I put him in. I mean, Gary was up and down, like his performances were up and down for us, but just as a person and someone who I look up to and respect, then I would put him in.
Brilliant. We'll go to the other side. We'll go to left midfield. Who you got in there?
I put Kenny McLean in, and
okay.
That's not because he's a left midfielder. I don't think I remember him ever playing left midfield for us. But just Kenny was a few years younger than me, so he was coming through the youth system round about the same time as me. I had a really good relationship with him. I still speak often to Kenny, but Kenny was really technical, really. You could tell he was going to go higher than St Mirren, and he was just a really good player, good athlete, good shape, good frame about him, and really fit, and definitely deserved to be in my team for sure.
Yeah, are you surprised that a player like that goes and plays like Premier League?
I mean, I'm not surprised that he went on to bigger and better things, but I mean, from when I played with him at St Mirren, I think even Kenny would be maybe surprised that he would go on to play as high as he has in the Premier League and playing so many games for Scotland and in the team, and I mean now qualifying for the Euros and stuff. So maybe back then I would have been surprised, but I've been watching his career and he's just getting better and better and better. So it's no surprise now that he's doing what he's doing, and that goes for another boy that I'm going to put in my team. You'll probably know who that is.
Yeah, I've got a rough idea. We'll move into centre midfield. We'll go with left centre midfielder.
John McGinn.
Yeah.
I mean, you could tell coming through when John first broke into the team, he was very raw, but he had a very good, strong shape about him, especially bottom half. He was really strong. Not many people could get him off the ball. But he's just like Kenny, he's taking step upon step. Like just got better and better and better. And just because of what he's done now, and because I know him well and stuff like that, I had to have him in my team. There's probably no one who's done better or that I've ever played with. Everyone knows John McGinn. Even in Iceland, people like stupid him. Like one of the younger boys that I coach noticed that I had John McGinn as my friend on Instagram, and he was like, "How do you know John McGinn?" And so even people here, I mean, Aston Villa, they're not one of the biggest clubs in the Premier League, but everyone knows him now. So he's a very famous guy, and through football, and I mean, just to be privileged enough to play with him and see him kind of progressing as well is really good. So,
see, when the McGinn brothers were at St Mirren, did you think John would be the one that would go and have the career he has?
It's a bit different because I played with the three of them. I came through the youth with Stephen, who's the oldest one. So I came through. I done my YTS with him. Then he moved to Watford, which was a massive move for someone so young at the time. So John was maybe only, I don't know, 14 or something like that when I was with Stephen. So then when I moved away and came back, I moved away to Keenan South, and this was maybe I was maybe back 22. Then John was in the youth team roughly, and he was breaking through. And Paul, it's the same with Paul. Paul was always good but steady, but he wasn't quite ready when I was with him at St Mirren. And then he moved away, went to a few other clubs, and then came back. Yeah, and he came on as well, and he's doing really well now at Hibs. So the three of them have been really good success stories, really, from coming through, and to have the three brothers from the same family is crazy. Like, I don't think it's happened very often.
No, definitely not.
And they've all been really successful.
Definitely. We'll finish up your midfield two partners, John, in the centre.
A few people may be surprised with this, but people who have played with him will know how good he is. Gary Brady.
Right. Okay.
I was young when I was coming through with Gary, but he was just so gifted. So a player who could give the ball, and he would find his way out of some tricky situations. Just nice passing. A really nice guy. Really laid back. Good with everyone. Don't think he made any enemies ever, and he's just a real quality football player. And like David Hurley, Gary was coming towards the end of his career with me. So I would have loved to have seen how good he was in his prime. But he's just someone who I always remember being a real quality player.
Brilliant. That's the midfield finished up. I just want to, before we move into the two strikers, I just want to touch on your time at Dunfermline. Obviously, you went to Dunfermline after your 5 years at St Mirren. What was your memories when you were there?
I loved it at Dunfermline. I really loved it. When I left St Mirren, I was looking to try and go abroad. I made it quite evident that I was wanting to try and do something. I needed a change. I was fed up sick of just the same old in Paisley. I needed a change. I had a few things in the pipeline, but nothing really happened. Not that what I wanted to. I went down south on trial for a few clubs. I got an offer from one club, but it wasn't good enough. But then I had a couple of options to go abroad that broke down, and then it kind of got to the end of August, and John Potter phoned me, who I'd known from my time. I've played with Potsy, and it was Alan Johnson at Potsy that were number 1 and 2 at Dunfermline. And he just said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing. I've not got a club. I'm struggling a wee bit. I don't have anything." And he said, "Why don't you just come here, sign for a year with the option to leave in January and come get back playing and get back into it." So that was the main thing that turned me to go there, because I knew Alan Johnson a wee bit as well, and with Potsy being there, and I thought, why not just go for it and just get back in playing. They were in League One at the time, so it was a bit of a drop, but I knew they were a big club, and they played in a good stadium, and they always wanted to go up, and they had aspirations to go back into the league and go back up into the Premier League. So I went and I really enjoyed it. I think I played 14, 15 games, and I really enjoyed it. I would have liked to have went back there at some point in my career and played higher up at a higher level in the Championship or whatever, but it's not happened. So I can't speak highly enough of the club. Dunfermline, they were a really good club. The fans were really good, and the place and the structure they have around the club was brilliant. So I enjoyed it up there.
Brilliant. We'll move on to your strikers. We'll start off with the first striker. Who have you got in the kind of left side?
I've done them like one behind, so I've done like a number 10 really. Paul McGowan. Paul McGowan. Gowser, he's just a little genius. Like he was one of my best mates at St Mirren at the time when I was there. We were really close. Although in the training ground we would argue all the time and fight all the time, but we were really close. And he was just a great signing for St Mirren at the time, and just, I mean, Gowser would work his socks off, and you could give him the ball anywhere, and he would manage to get out of it, and just a really good player.
Brilliant. Final striker. Who you got leading the line?
Big Tomo, Stevie Thompson.
Yeah, I thought that.
Just again, like Tomo, probably coming towards his end of the career. He was a St Mirren fan like myself, and we were really close. We had a really close bond, I think, just through being like from the town and stuff like that. And but Tomo was brilliant for someone. Scored so many goals, and he wasn't just like a goal scorer. Tomo could hold the ball up. He could turn away from people. He wouldn't run away from anyone, but he could turn away from people, and just like a big coup at the time for someone to get up there, like of his stature, and for him to come home and end his career at his boyhood club and win a trophy like that was just amazing, and amazing for me to be part of that and see how much it meant to him as well.
Brilliant.
And I'm still, Tomo's still another guy I keep in contact with quite frequently as well. So yeah,
some teams. Any players that kind of just missed out that you?
There was a few. Like I said, the back, a few of the boys at the back, like Lee Mayer, John Potter, Dan McGregor, all three boys that I played with who are really good players. Aaron Moy, another boy who at the time when I played with him, he had just come up from Bolton, so he was a young boy and he wasn't getting much opportunity. But you could see he was gifted. He was really good, but he just wasn't there yet. But then now you see what he's done in his career over the last maybe 6-7 years. He's went on from strength to strength, and you could see that he had that. He could do that. Just with the quality he had. Graham Carey was another player that I played with who was very, very, very good technically. Just he had a wee bit unfortunate sometimes with injuries, but now he's playing over in Bulgaria, I think, with CSKA Sofia. So he's went down south and he's done really well down there at Plymouth, and he's got a good move over to Bulgaria. So fair play to him as well. And also a couple of boys came up from Newcastle, Paul Dummett and Connor Newton. They were good additions to the squad as well, and good boys that had good boys and good players that I had played with as well. Also one that I had played with, I was really quite young at the time, boy Gary Mason. He played for Dunfermline as well. Gaz was a good player, but I think I've maybe played a couple of games reserves or came on in some games with him, and he was a good player. But there's definitely players that I've not mentioned. I can't remember. But if I was to go through the squads that I've played with, there would be many boys who would definitely be worth giving a shout out to.
Definitely. Obviously, you're in Iceland now. You played for a few clubs there. Like, do you enjoy it? And are you thinking you're going to be out there long term? Are you kind of looking at moves maybe to come back to Scotland?
When I first came over here, I signed a 2-year contract with a club called Keflavik, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. But I had offers to come home after that. But I just really like the lifestyle. The lifestyle's totally different to Scotland in the UK. Like, there's no stress, there's no rush, there's no panic. Everyone's just relaxed, just getting on with their life. There's no pressure, and it just kind of suited me. I was just like, why come back to the craziness? And you're in the fish. You're like in a goldfish bowl. Everyone's criticising you. Everyone's just waiting for you to slip up and do something that you shouldn't be doing. And it's not like that here. It's no one cares. Everyone's just relaxed. Football isn't like a high priority in life over here, whereas it is in Scotland. Like, it's down the pecking order a bit, and I just quite like the easygoing life. And the football, the playing side of things is pretty good as well. I would say the top league here is probably top end Championship, maybe bottom 3-4 clubs in the Premier League. It's similar again. Like, the top 5 clubs in Iceland and the Pepsi Max League here are good. They're financially, they do well because they qualify for Europe every year and stuff. So they're probably ahead of like the bottom 7 clubs or bottom 5 or 6. So if you're in the top 5 clubs or whatever, it's a little bit easier because you have better squads, you have bigger squads, you've got more money, and obviously 4 clubs qualify from Europe to qualify to get into Europe here every year. So you get a bit of bonus there. One team goes Champions League, and the other 3 are with the Europa. So it's a decent structure, and the way they do the youth setup here is very good as well. It's very different to back home. Like, when we have the pro youth setup from younger, it's not like that here. So it's like, the club I first came to was Keflavik. So if you don't play for a boys club team, there's no boys club teams or anything like that here. You're just, your club is Keflavik, and no matter what level you're at. So for instance, like under 15s, there could be 40 kids at under 15s, but they'll have an A team, a B team, a C team, a D team. So everybody can play. So you're playing against, so Keflavik will play against all the other clubs' A teams at that level, at that age group. The B teams will play all the B teams, and so on. So they never turn anyone away if you're not good enough. Everyone plays, but it's and I think maybe that's why Iceland had such a successful time over the last maybe 6 years. I'm not sure, but it's an interesting structure of how it works, and it's totally different from what I was used to.
Brilliant. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on the show, mate. Thanks very much for joining me. I really enjoyed it.
No, I appreciate that. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
All the best, Scott. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.